Kamala Harris is an empty suit. They are trying to create this new version of Kamala Harris to match what their pollsters are telling them so she can say whatever she needs to say to try to win over voters, which is the most offensive thing, I think, because they think we're so stupid as to forget what her record actually is. And so, in 2019, very simply, I confronted her with her hypocrisy, how what she said was very different than what she actually did.
We got some breaking news today that I think many of you will appreciate. So if you enjoy the content, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new. But it is that the Trump campaign has officially enlisted the help of none other than Tulsi Gabbard. Now, this is someone I've long thought should have been utilized more by the Trump campaign. I think she is a vital asset, an effective communicator, especially her story as a former Democrat and Biden voter could be appealing to independent voters, right? But nonetheless, finally, the Trump team is bringing Tulsi Gabbard on board, and they're having her fill perhaps the most important shoes that she can, because folks, the news today is that Tulsi Gabbard is joining Trump to help him with debate prep. That is right. She is going to be prepping Trump for the debate against Kamala Harris. And why is that significant? Well, let's take a trip down memory lane and remember that the defining moment of Tulsi Gabbard's political career was when she destroyed Kamala Harris on that debate stage in 2020. And essentially, I think we really can give her credit for this, ended the Kamala Harris presidential campaign once before. Check it out.
Congresswoman Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response,
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who are on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Senator Harris.
Yeah, so I think we see, folks, exactly what the Trump campaign is doing here. Kamala Harris never recovered from that moment back in 2020. So they're hoping that maybe with the help of Tulsi Gabbard kind of designing maybe a quick comeback or something like that, you can do the same thing to Kamala Harris on that debate stage in 2024. It's genius. It's brilliant. And I think secretly you have to imagine the Kamala campaign hearing this news, they got to be thinking a little bit like, here we go, right? So with that said, though, I will point out, of course, that I think Tulsi Gabbard, even since then, has ideologically evolved to a significant degree. Like, she's basically a Republican now. Back then, she was sort of like Democrat questioning whatever. But, regardless, I will say this. I do think that Trump should do a moment like that. But it should basically take, and by the way, I think Trump and Tulsi both know this, it should take the opposite approach of what Tulsi did back then. Because let's not forget, folks, back then, Kamala Harris was trying to run as the most progressive candidate in the Democrat primary, and Tulsi's essentially calling her out, saying, no, you're not progressive. And that was a different time. It was a Democrat primary, whatever. When you contrast that with today, I think the issue with Kamala Harris is the exact opposite, which is in 2020, she tried to run as this crazy far left radical, and now in 2024, she's pretending like that never happened. She's trying to angle herself as some type of populist moderate. So call her out on that, right? I think the moment that Trump could do is like, Kamala Harris claims to be a moderate, this and that. She claims she's in the center, but in 2020, she called for abolishing ICE, giving out tax dollars to illegal immigrants, refusing to deport anyone. She called for defunding the police and bailing out violent rioters, et cetera, et cetera. She called for abolishing private health insurance, of course. Let's not forget about stuff like that. I think you get a great one-line moment like that, that could have a very similar effect. Now, that said, on the topic of debate prep, so that is what Donald Trump is trying to do to prepare for the debate, right? He's asking the person who destroyed Kamala Harris's career once how to do it again. The Kamala Harris strategy, apparently, is they're going to hire a Donald Trump impersonator. Okay, yeah, that is indeed correct. They're going to hire a Donald Trump impersonator, and apparently this impersonator is a guy named Philip Rines, who is a political consultant who also helped Hillary Clinton during her debate prep in 2016. Now, to me, that's a little bit of a baffling strategy because it's like, okay, so you're going to bring on the person who got known for being like destroyed at the debate with the one-liners, and of course, we know how Hillary Clinton's campaign turned out, so very baffling, but I certainly like to see it, right? The Kamala Harris campaign, the Democrats refusing to learn from past mistakes. They also have someone named Karen Dunn who is doing this. That is another longtime Clinton advisor who helped Harris prepare for her vice presidential debate in 2020, which, by the way, I will point out, you know, if you go back and remember, I don't think she really did very well in. So I don't know if they're exactly employing the best strategy here, but I guess on that front, we will have to see, because frankly, you know, this is not to get arrogant or cocky. Like, you still have to deliver. You still have to come in with the right strategy. But I think at least on paper, debating Kamala Harris should be easy, not just because of issues of charisma or likability, but specifically because of the issues themselves, right? What is Kamala Harris campaigning on in 2024? Right back in 2020, she was this crazy far left radical. And now, not only is she trying to pretend to have these moderate policies, but then she is also straight up copying Trump when it comes to many of these ideas.
Because when I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips, people making tips.
Eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
It's like all your ideas are plagiarized, and that might run well when you're just speaking in front of an audience of your stupid supporters. But the moment you're on that debate stage, you can't just copy his ideas, right? Trump's going to call you out on that, as he should. And take a listen to Kamala's speech today, where she is basically pretending like she has not been vice president for the past 4 years, which again may work in front of your audience, not going to work when you actually have to debate someone. Take a listen.
Everyday prices are too high. It feels so hard to just be able to get ahead. The bills add up. Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes, prescription medication, the cost of food. A loaf of bread costs 50% more. Ground beef is up almost 50%. There's a serious housing shortage. The price of housing has gone up. It's too difficult to build, and it's driving prices up. It is out of reach. The size of down payments have gone up as well. Costs are still too high. There's not much left at the end of the month, and prices are still too high.
Right. So on paper, that's a good message, right? It's populist. It speaks to the issues that really affect people, except there's just one problem with that, Kamala, which is that you are the vice president. Right? Like, your administration has been in power for the past 4 years. So if prices are not just bad, according to you, they're going up, then whose fault is that? And like I said, again, this may work in front of her supporters who are like, la, 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 can't see, can't hear, la, la, la. But when it comes to debating Donald Trump, That's such an easy attack line, right? So that is the problem that I think Kamala is going to run into during her debate is all of this like populist moderate messaging. It's not going to fly because it is too easy to call out when someone is actually standing across from you on the other side of the stage. So we'll have to see what Kamala Harris actually does. I'm sure she's going to try to get some tough girl, like creative one-liners. But besides that, on the substance, I don't know what Kamala Harris is going to be able to do. Because on all the issues, she's either plagiarizing from Trump or it's very easy to call her out because in 2020, oh, look, there's the receipts of her saying exactly that, exactly that. So that said, folks, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And until next time, God bless and peace.